either by building pools or servicing pools, whatever role you may have in the swimming pool industry. We know how busy you are working in the field, and taking time out to sit in front of a computer, even if it's something you may want or need, is hard to do. So thank you so much for being here. If you are not watching this live, of course, we're going to post the recording on the YouTube channel, the Pool Pro Podcast YouTube channel, and we'll be sharing it on social media. But really the goal of today is to see if you are interested and qualified to be able to receive one of the government funded loans that have been extended this year. They were given out early last year as well. And we want to make sure that, if you're interested, you have access to information to be able to determine if you are qualified. My panel today is Dave Rockwell, who is the co-host of the Pool Pro Podcast with myself, Michelle Kavanaugh. He is also a current recipient of a loan through one of our other guests here, which is the owner of Rodino and Associates, Lisa Rodino. Lisa, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me, Michelle.
Yes, and then we also have, happens to be the CPA for myself as well as Mr. Rockwell, Joe DiChiara. He is our CPA, and happy to have you here, Joe. Thank you so much for joining us from Bedrock Business Builders.
Thank you for inviting me, Michelle.
Both in New York, by the way, so we're representing the East Coast today, and a lot of the other folks that are watching are probably in the California area, but all over. And I'm actually in Central Time in Texas, so we're widely represented in the U.S. today. Thanks again. So Lisa, to get started, by the way, if you have questions, you can post a question in the chat window, and you can chat with other participants, or you can there's a Q&A box as well. You can ask questions, and we will make sure that your questions are answered live. And then again, at the end of this particular webinar, we're going to share Lisa's contact information as well as Joe's, because if you haven't had your taxes done yet this year, or you still need accounting help, Joe is available to help you with that. So we will make sure that those are shared with you at the end of this, so you can get to the people that you need to determine how they can assist you in your business. So Lisa, just to get this started out, so talk to me about what's the difference this year versus last year on the loans. Is it the same qualifications? Are there new requirements or qualifications for business owners? Can you explain that, please?
Sure. So the business owner needs to be able to show a decrease in their gross profits for one quarter of 2019 as compared to a quarter in 2020. So you need to have had a reduction, and that will let you qualify for PPP 2. If you receive PPP 1, or if you're just starting out now to get PPP 1, there's no requirements, just as long as you've been in business since February 15th of 2020 and can prove it with a bank account or showing some kind of business abilities.
And what is PPP 1 versus 2?
PPP 1 was the original offering.
Oh, I see.
In 2019.
Okay.
PPP 2 is the current one now. But if you have not applied for PPP at all as of yet, they are allowing you to partake in PPP 1 now.
And PPP stands for the Payroll Protection Program. Is that correct?
That is correct. The Payroll Protection Program, sponsored by the SBA.
And I think people are confused. Now, Dave, this is a perfect example. Dave Rockwell is a service guy. He does not have any employees, and he was able to get funding. So can you explain, when you say payroll protection, we're assuming that means you must have employees because you're doing a payroll. Can you explain that as well, Lisa?
Well, you need to be a business owner that you're showing your revenues. The government has hyper focused on small business owners. They are not requiring you to have a payroll in place. They want to see that you are an active business owner, so that the subcontractors that are out there, or the Uber drivers or anyone else that has a business where they are depending on the general population to work, they are available, and that loan is accessible to them.
Gotcha. So what you're saying, that what I'm hearing you say is, as long as you can prove that you were a business owner by February 2020, and you are showing a decrease from one quarter of 2019 versus 2020, then you potentially are pretty much qualified, if you follow the application process, to potentially receive a loan. Is that correct, Lisa?
That is correct for the second loan.
Okay.
For the first loan, you just need to prove that you have a business and it was active as of February 2020.
Gotcha. And Dave, can you describe your experience with that? Were you able to, what was your experience working with Lisa, trying to determine if this was the right fit for you?
Well, there's really the one thing that I'm very poor at. I feel like I'm a pretty good pool technician, but filling out forms, I would rather have bamboo shoots shoved under my fingernails. And this form was amazingly easy. It's name, address, some very, very basic information. There was there apparently was almost no credit score requirements or anything. From the time that I started filling out the form till the time I had $20,800 in my bank was a week or less.
Wow.
The process was amazing. Lisa has it down to a science. I have heard from other people, don't go to the big banks. So a lot of the speed and the efficiency of this process is who you actually apply through.
Right.
And I was told, I bank with one of the big three. I was told, don't go there, don't apply there, because they're just so backed up. It's actually who you apply through that that matters. And Lisa has some excellent contacts, and it flew through. It was amazing.
And Lisa, talk about forgiveness. So for those of you who are watching here, the attendees, you can ask questions in the Q&A or the chat window if you'd like to ask a question live. Like I said, some of you that just joined us, we will also provide the contact information of Lisa and Joe at the end, so you can contact them and ask questions directly. But Lisa, talk about forgiveness. So this particular loan, if you get it, it's a very low interest rate. First of all, you said 1% or something like that. So as far as getting loans, this is a heck of a good loan to get.
Absolutely.
But talk about forgiveness. How do you get the forgiveness for this loan so you don't have to pay it back?
Okay, so for forgiveness of the loan, you will want to be able to prove that 60% of the funds are put towards payroll. Well, payroll for a sole prop, as we were saying earlier, is maybe a little tough to prove, but as long as you're showing that the cash flow is going out to you and you're also utilizing the funds for any PPE products, anything you had to change in your business set where you have to get extra equipment, like the shields in the little grocery stores, or gloves and masks for your staff for different things, those are all considered deductible, as well as some of the electronic equipment. If you have to get specialized computers or certain other aspects to your business, those could be considered part of the forgiveness. And if it is not forgiven, it's a 1% loan, and it will be deferred for 12 months, and you will have up to 5 years to pay it off.
Gotcha. Okay. And then as far as paying yourself, so sole proprietors, talk about the different types of businesses that can qualify. So was sole proprietors, was that somebody that could have received a loan for PPP 1, or was that just now?
They can apply. They were eligible for everyone has been eligible for both. The rules kept being very fluid last year and kept continually changing. That happened again this year as well. The rules are tweaked and changed as they see the need. So for the forgiveness, yes, we have the corporations, as long as they can show that they have a 940 or 941s in their returns, we can look at those figures for employees. For sole props, yes, we're going to look at your Schedule C, line number 7 for your gross profits, which was changed from last year, which was only the net profits. And even mid play, they actually switched it from net to gross so that the small business owner could receive more monies for the loan amount. Yep. And when applying, we can look at your 19 return versus your 20 return. Whichever one will give you the larger amount of loan is what you will be eligible to utilize.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So then when you say paying yourself, so if you were like Dave, if you were a sole proprietor, you don't have any employees, so paying yourself then is proof that you're paying payroll because you're taking something out for yourself. And that's how, when you say proving that you're using the funds for payroll or something like that, that's how you prove it in that regard. Is that correct?
Right. You're compensating yourself. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. So Joe, did you want to add anything from a tax perspective? Any concerns? I know last year you and I did some webinars in regards to this have you seen any issues with people that took out loans last year? With that caused them any issues with their taxes that you've done thus far or anything like that? Anything that's of concern, do you think, in getting a loan as a CPA? Can you give us any recommendation?
Well, last year, thank you, Lisa. You were a godsend because, everybody was asking me about this stuff, and yeah, it's fluid. And that to me is a problem. And that's what I was talking about last year, because a lot of people got loans with not knowing what their obligations were going to be.
Right.
They didn't know what they could spend it on. I mean, it was really, really confusing.
They worked that out this year, don't you think? With a year now in?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And last year, it was like if you knew somebody at a bank, you got it. And that's why a lot of the larger companies got it, and people like David didn't. And now they focus, just like Lisa said. I know, you threw out a lot of accounting terms. So I don't know, regular people don't know a Schedule C and 940 and 941. But
Right.
basically, most businesses are like David. They start out as sole proprietors.
Yeah.
And most of them don't show a profit, believe it or not, especially if they're just starting out. So when they switched it to the revenue, and that's what you were talking about, line 7 on the Schedule C. So if you're in business, even if you only grossed, let's say $30,000, you're going to get something.
Mhm.
And those are the people that need it. I'm doing a ton of, people that didn't file. They didn't file in 19 because they owed money. Well, now they're going to get free money.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, not free. I mean, they got to,
Right.
apply for it. Nothing's ever free, but they have an opportunity. Some people are getting 2,000, 4,000, and that makes a difference for a lot of people.
It does make a difference.
And like David, it's gotten amazingly simple.
Yeah.
Right. And David, if it was your first time applying, you already have your monies. Before the end, you could apply for your PPP2 next. Now, granted, the cutoff date is May 31st, but the providers have 30 days after that May 31st date to process the loans. So,
He can go for another PPP loan?
correct.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yes.
Do I have to spend all of the first one before I can apply for the second one?
Well, the direction that they're stating is that you intend to spend the full amount. So yes,
It's those kind of things that get people in trouble.
right. You need to either spend it or have intent to spend it. So,
Okay.
Yes.
yep.
David intends to spend it all, believe me.
He does.
Absolutely.
He intends to spend it.
So that's what's really odd about this whole thing to me. When I think about it, it's like, we're going to give you this ridiculously inexpensive loan. We're going to give you the opportunity to have it completely forgiven, but you can only spend it on yourself. Okay. Cool.
Yes, it's rough. It's
Yeah,
rough
it's like-
to think about.
It makes you scratch your head, right? Okay.
It's like,
Yes, I know we
there's
have
gotta be-
Chelsea and
there's-
Oscar
I'm
and
waiting for
another person
shoe to
on.
drop at some point.
Oh yeah, right, Dave, exactly.
Asking out free money, but in the meantime, take advantage of it. It's there. It's
is.
so easy to get. It's unbelievable.
So Chelsea and Oscar are on, as well as another person. I can't see who it is that's calling in. If you have any questions, I can unmute you. If you want to ask a question live, just raise your hand. I'll be happy to put you on. Other than that, Joe, talk a little bit about taxes. They've obviously, for those of you who have not done your taxes yet for 2020, or like he said, previous years, if you didn't file yet previous years because you owed money and you were scared to, or you didn't want to deal with it, Joe helps in those regards, and there's no judgment here. It's all about helping you with your business. So Joe DTR, again, is a CPA. He's in New York. He happens to be our CPA, Dave and I both, for our private businesses. So if you need some help, anything different, Joe, like the deadline is now May 15, correct?
May 17th.
Oh, 17. Okay.
And my daughter is giving birth on May 18th.
Oh gosh, I hope it's not the 17th. You're like,
I have
no.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it may seem overly complicated for people. It's not complicated for me because I've been doing this for 35 years.
Yeah.
It was a Schedule C when I started. It's still a Schedule C. What I want people to know is even if you owe money, even if you owe the IRS money, you can still file, get your stimulus money, and qualify for these PPP loans.
Yeah.
So I'm getting people, I get a lot of referrals, and we're doing like not only 19 and 20s, 18, 19, and 20.
Right.
And yeah, there is a deadline. There's a deadline on filing for the PPP, right, Lisa?
Yes, there is, May 31st.
Yep.
Right. So don't procrastinate.
No,
No.
do it. Get it done. That is for sure. And then, will the money run out, Lisa? They only have a certain allocated amount, and as soon as they reach that, then even if it's before May 31st, there's no funding available?
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
So it's
So
good to get on that.
get on that, get in line.
Yes, get it done. And like Dave was saying, he got his within a week, when he applied with Lisa.
Mhm.
So that was a nice thing to be able to get that to help him out with his business as well. Lisa, really quickly before we go, because I want to make sure we're being respectful of people's time. Talk a little bit about building business credit. You said that, and I think Dave said this, your credit score wasn't really much of an issue in regards to getting approved for this loan. But can you talk about building business credit? Because I think people don't realize how that's a really good model for your business. And if you have a
Right.
good lines of credit, you can actually sell that with your business in the end. Can you talk about that?
Sure. So understand this, business credit is something that, yes, can go with the business when it's time to sell it out, but building business credit will help your personal credit as well. Because when you separate your personal and your business credit, it's the business that will be recording all of your expenses. It will not appear on your personal credit. So if your business credit is built up, you could buy your commercial vehicles on your business credit and have it never show on your personal credit.
Nice.
And we have a program that will help to build up your personal credit while building your business credit, so that you will have those lines available for any instances. And when is a bank going to lend you money when you need it? You need to plan ahead and get the money in place before you need it, so that we can get you the lines of credit. You're not paying interest on any lines that you're not activating. You don't pay interest until you actually engage in utilizing the money. So those are some nice pieces to have in that, financial box or toolbox, so
Yes.
that when you need the money, it is there and available for you during these times when you have the hiccups of COVID or any other unforeseen events that come before you for your business. If you have that already in place, it won't destroy your personal credit. Your business credit will be there ready and available for you, and you don't have to lean on yourself and your personal credit.
Makes sense.
Can I just add something to
Yeah,
that?
please, Joe. Yeah.
It's not if you're going to need it, it's when. If you're in business, you're going to need some kind of capital. Even if it's just, a $10,000 line, and you don't apply for it when you need it. You apply
Right.
for it when you don't need it. That's when they're going to approve you.
Right.
And there's a line of credit is different than using a credit card, correct? I think there's some confusion there. Like if you have a credit card already for your business, that's different than getting a line of credit. Is that correct? Or is it the same thing? This is a dumb question, but I'm asking it anyway.
That's a gray zone. Yes, sometimes it is a credit card, but is the credit card attached to your personal credit?
True. Good point. Yeah.
That's what we need to make sure. Let's make sure your credit cards and your lines of credit are attached to your business credit. And more than 80% of business owners throughout the US do not realize that they have a business credit score.
Right.
We do have a question, Lisa.
Yes.
Oscar Beltran is asking, does PPE 1 and PPE 2 have the same application?
Yes, the applications are the same.
All
So
right.
how do they know which one you're applying for? You just pick PPP 1 or PPP 2?
Well, The portal that I have available will have you select either
Oh, I see.
PPP 1 or 2, because on PPP 2, there will be an added step because you need to be able to prove that you had a decrease in revenues
I see.
from 1 quarter of 19 equal quarter of 20.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So how can we get our listeners a link to your portal?
I can put that in the box if you would like.
Yeah, because Chelsea's asking that.
Okay.
Will you be sharing a link to the form that Dave filled out to apply for the PPP loan and a recommendation on which banks to apply from? You handle that, right, Lisa?
I handle that.
Yeah.
It's my team that will put you with the right place for your situation. And
Is there a fee for your services, Lisa, or is that just part of a loan? How does that work?
Absolutely not. No, and by the way, no one should be charging the client for applying for the PPP loan. Yes, your accountants may have to do some extra paperwork and they'll charge you some fees that way, but no one should be paying a provider for the PPP loan. It is written in the SBA requirements that we will be compensated by the providers.
Gotcha.
So
That's
keep
the
that
best
in-
thing I've heard all day, right? And I guess it's only 10:22, but for me, that's the best thing I've heard thus far, right, Dave?
Good, good, because I don't want our folks to have to be taken advantage of.
Yeah,
Because
makes
that's
sense.
not what we're here for. That's not what they're there for. We are supposed to be assisting our clients, and you guys have been through enough in your business. You're struggling enough. We shouldn't be taking advantage of that in any way, shape, or form.
Absolutely.
That's not what we're about.
Yeah, right. And Lisa, so Chelsea, Lisa's going to put the link to the application in the chat window while she's doing that. Again, for those of you watching this now, you're probably not watching the live version, obviously, but they're watching the recording. There's a link here on this particular, we're going to put that at the end of this recording. We're going to put the link up there for you so that you can click on it yourself and be able to apply. We'll also provide Lisa's contact info as well as Joe's. Again, if you need help on the accounting side of things or need a CPA to do your taxes, Joe does that. They're both in New York. There's the link. She just shared it in the chat window, Chelsea. So you can actually click on that and have it up on your screen and move forward. Anything else, Dave? Did you want to add anything else in regards to your experience, or are we good to go?
I think we're good to go. My question is, for people who watch later and are not watching live, they may not be able to access the chat window. How can we connect?
I'm going to provide the link as part of the video recording, but
Okay.
I'll also put it in the description of the video. Yeah, so they'll have it there and they can just click directly on it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for those that signed up for this particular webinar and did not attend today, I'll just email them the information as part of because I have their email address. So we're good there too.
Great.
Nice.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Joe. Do you have anything else to add? Or are we good?
I'm good. I got a bunch of tax returns to do now.
You're like, I got to go. Lisa, thank you so much for coming on today. We appreciate it. Thank you for all you do, both of you actually, to try to help us, with our small businesses and trying to see how we can make sure we're sustainable and not going out of business. We really appreciate what you guys do.
Well,
Thank you so much. And Chelsea, Oscar, the few that you came on today, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. And we'll be in touch via email. If you have additional questions, you can ask me or you can ask Lisa or Joe or Dave.
Great.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, you
Thank you.
guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
A new voice in the industry, a resource for all, education for you. This is Pool Pro Podcast. Build relationships and share important news as we get ready for our next backyard adventure. Pool Pro Podcast. Backyard adventures are better together. Please take a moment to share, like, and review our content with all of those that would be interested.